On this episode of Making Stuff, we make some inexpensive marketing swag, we play with fandoms, we use a fancy press, and we show you how we make our recycled buttons. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Making Stuff. I'm Derek.
I'm Christy.
And we're Steadfast Rebels. Thanks for joining us on our third episode of Making Stuff here. We have buttons on the table, and it's not a hobby or a craft that really takes a lot to get into. It just takes a couple specialty tools, and we're going to get into all of that. But one of the fun parts about the buttons is the possibilities are endless. We like to use resources for our buttons that are recycled materials, stuff like books that are getting thrown out, collector cards that really people don't really want anymore. And then also we do our own buttons for marketing as well. We print our own stuff, and then we're actually going to give away this template too that you can download to print your own if you guys have your own art that you want to make into buttons as well. Everything here, there's not a lot to really need to get into the button hobby besides a button press. That's really what's going to take the majority of a budget, if you would say, in getting into this hobby. So let's kind of go over some of the stuff we've got here on the table.
So aside from, of course, the button press, you'll need the pieces to make the buttons. Usually when you buy a button press, you'll get a certain amount of button blanks, if you will, with the machine. So, yep, we've got bags of your little metal backing pieces, or front pieces, I guess, the backing pins. You've got
the Mylar clear pieces there for to go to coat your buttons.
We also have a circle punch.
With the circle punch, this is a key thing that's going to make button making for you so much easier. A lot of the kits that come out there, they come with a pretty rudimentary circle cutter. They're garbage. We threw ours out right away, picked up one of these. This is well worth investment.
You don't technically need one. You could cut them by hand. You could also use a cutting machine like a Cricut or a Silhouette, but this just makes it super, super easy, especially if you're going to be using recycled materials.
That's a huge thing that really makes that your life so much easier when making these buttons. I can punch through probably about 100 buttons in like an hour or so, and then it doesn't take much effort with that. The button press, we also have like a clamp to hold this down if you're not permanently mounting it to a tabletop. And then some glue. This is some multi-use glue designed for like metals, ceramics, plastics, stuff like that. This is, it's not necessary, but it is a nice added step if you are going to be selling your buttons. It just gives it a little bit higher quality to the product so it doesn't fall apart. We've had a couple where we're using some thicker paper. They will sometimes have some hard time clamping all the way around, and that helps with having the glue on there for them not to pop completely off. We like to use a 1 1/4 inch size button. It tends to be the most universal like button size you kind of find out there in the world. It's also known as a 32 millimeter for your molds. Fun part about these type of presses is there's multiple sizes. So we have chosen to go with the 1 inch, 1 1/4 inch buttons, but there are 1 inch, 2.5 inch, 3 inch, 2 inch, all kinds of varieties. And we were just seeing online, there's some like heart mold ones, some square mold ones. And what's really cool is you can just swap out the molds that are here. Price-wise, let's get into like breaking that down. An investment like this is anywhere from about $50 to $100 for a press, depending on the accessories you get, the version of it. We got very fortunate. We bought this 3 years ago now, and it's still working great. Haven't had any issues with it. But this one we got on a sale for $50, so you might still be able to find a great deal on these. And one of the best parts about the investment that we did on this is it came with 1,000 buttons. So one of the other tricks we have for or tips is grab yourself some trays like this here to kind of sort your pieces out. And what we'll do is we'll set up the table to have one on each side, because the way this slides back and forth, it's just very easy to grab one, load, grab the next piece, load, and go from that point.
Grab, load, just have it all.
And it just becomes an assembly line. And what we do, as we were talking about some of the books and some of the cards, where we source a lot of this stuff, we find like Pokemon cards at the thrift store in bags for $5, $6, and they're just stacks of them. And yes, guys, these aren't like valuable cards in the sense I go through, I make sure there's nothing valuable for the collectors out there, but these are like pennies to a lot of the collectors out there, and they just like stack them up and throw them out. And a lot of the times with these like cards like this, they're fan favorites. So it's really fun because people go through our booth and look at and find some stuff. There's old, like this is a Star Wars book we found.
Yeah, we try and find books that like are literally on their way to landfill, like ripped pages or markers, sometimes comic books, anything that looks like it's just, you know, it's had its day. It's had its time. It's ready for a second use, so that we don't feel bad about recycling it. So yeah, comics, Star Wars books, Lego,
Pokemon books.
yeah, Pokemon books, Marvel,
variety of stuff.
all kinds of things. Calvin Hobbes, like you can find anything.
Waldo books,
Simpsons.
Simpsons, yeah.
Yeah.
The best part about this is maybe you rip apart one of these books and you get a couple pages or a couple buttons per pages. These do not go to waste for us. These actually turn into paper pulp for us, and so we'll actually be doing a tutorial in the future on how we make our paper as well. So none of the stuff that we go through our process here is going to waste. We tend to try to use as much as we can, and this is just another thing to keep these pieces out of landfills, and it's another way to give it a new life. And going back to your templates here, there's a lot of different ways you can do your work. And it's pretty simple. We'll show you with this punch here. And so
this is a blank one. Like we said, we'll be including this for you guys for free to download so that you can create your own artwork. And then Derek will show you how to punch it.
Yeah, and so with the template, there's like your size of it, then a bleed line, and then where you want your art to be. And all you're going to be doing is basically sliding your punch right over your graphic that you want, and then it's that simple. You just punch that right out, and you've got yourself a shape for your button. So let's get into the button making process, and we'll make a couple of them because it goes by really quick, and show you how we go about making all these things as we clear this table up. Okay, so move some things around. This is going to be a little funky for me. I've got it sideways, so it's a little easier to show you guys on the other camera here. But again, we're going to just punch one of these pages out. One of the things I forgot to mention, also, if you have scissors around, it does help with pages to kind of cut closer to your subject or your thing that you're going for. So we're going to just get this book. I think this was a Lego Star Wars book we found. And this is just a real simple Yoda graphic here. We're going to center it to our punch. We're going to punch that out. And then that's going to fall right out of our punch there. With the punch slid this towards camera right now, you take one of these metal discs. You're going to slide that in there. And there's a little like centering piece to that. So it just falls right into place. You take your graphic, you face that up. And then these are little Mylar plastic sheets that go over your art that you're doing. And just be aware, these are super, super fine. So sometimes you might put two in there.
They tend to stick to each other. So you want to make sure you kind of like rub your fingers together and separate the individual sheets of the Mylar.
So we've got the one single sheet there. And then all this does is you just place that like a little sandwich there. You slide that over. This is going to press down here. Oh, one of the other things I forgot to mention, I'll do this real quick. If you, I think actually I did mention it. If you're not mounting this to a table, use a clamp. So we just clamped it right to our table here, and it makes it super easy and keeps it stable for when you're pressing stuff. This side, on this other side here, furthest away from you guys, you're going to take your button side, your actual pin piece. You're going to face that down so that your pin is exposed to where you're going to pin. And then I'm going to take my glue here that we have. This is the Beacon 527 glue that we're using. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little dot right in the center there, and that's going to squish right into the back of your button once you press it. And I'm going to slide this over, and if you see right here, that button that we first put in there, or that graphic, is gone because it's now up inside of the button press. And then we're going to make sure this is aligned properly, and we're going to press this back down again. Slide over, and we've got ourselves a nice little Yoda button. Super fun. So let's go through that again. I'm going to move this out of the way so that you guys can see this. We're taking that metal plate backing for it, placing that there. We're going to take that Steadfast Rebels little graphic we printed and toss that right in there. Take our sheet. Oh, look at those ones stuck together pretty easily. Good thing I kind of shifted those in my finger to make sure I got only one. I'm going to slide that over again, and then we're going to press that down. We're going to take our back pin option, put that into the other side of the press. Again, back to our glue. Little dab will do ya. And slide that back over. We'll make sure we're aligned. press back down, and you've got yourself a button. I did a kind of funky job on getting that centered properly, but it still works. It's still legible and slides right across the table just like that. Super easy, super fun. Like we said, possibilities are endless with these. You can see how you can get into a rhythm very easily. It's slide, press, glue. Once you get your steps down, like I said, I do about 100 buttons in about an hour. It's pretty easy to get through quite a bit. Best part about these is at shows, we have these in bins like this, and people just like going through them, sorting, figuring out what they like, finding the little hidden gems in there. But there's a lot of other ways you can actually utilize this press with certain backings. Like what we have on the rack there, we've made some little like button backs so that you can have some sets and sell those as an option as well. Give them as gifts. They are presented really well with a backer card like this, and it's super easy to, like I said, offer them as gifts to friends, sell them at shows. But then we also have on that is actually magnets. Super easy. Instead of putting a pin back on it, what we did is we just removed the pin part itself, used that backing, and added a self-adhesive magnet to it. And you have some really cool fandom and random magnets for it. And then there's keychain attachments available online. And like we said, there's a bunch of different sizes, and you can get very creative with it. I think we just saw one with a bottle opener on the back of some of these. So there's a lot of different options and varieties to make some fun stuff with these. But the best part is adding this to your table draws people in at a market, and when they start kind of looking through, they're very popular. We've done very well with just having a few of these there, and it really didn't take us much to get to that point. And
it also is a great way to add something at a smaller price point in your booth.
The other thing, because they are so low in cost, something like this here, this is marketing for us. We give these away, we throw them in our shipped items, we do all kinds of stuff with our own branded pieces. The best part about something like this is online right now, the prices are about 800 button units for about $20. So like the cost to really make some marketing stuff or some sellable material is very, very low. Like we said, this is going to be your most expensive piece that you're going to need. And this is about, on a good day, $50. On an average day, anywhere from about like $60 to $75 to get you started with the press. And that's a lot of times coming with a good amount of supplies to get you started. The only thing is the source of your art, whether it's your own personal art, whether it's recycled stuff like we're using here, or whether it's like, we've seen so many creative things, like we said, endless possibilities when it comes to the button making.
Yeah, so the button machine is going to be your biggest initial investment, but it should last you years and really make you so much product if you're looking to sell. But really, that's pretty much it. Very small investment to get started, and you've got yourself a new hobby or a new product to sell.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. Like we said, this is something we got ourselves started 3 years ago, and we've been loving it. It's a nice little added thing to bring to the market when we have a bunch of different options to select from. We're using recycled materials for the majority of our stuff. You guys can do the same, and it's pretty easy hobby to get yourselves into.
So if you have any questions, make sure you drop those in the comments below. And if you do end up getting a button machine and making your own buttons using our template that we will also include in the description, please tag us at Steadfast Rebels so that we can see what you make.
Guys, thanks for joining us on another episode of Making Stuff. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We've got more tutorials coming. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks again, guys.
Bye.